Morning, guys. It's a couple minutes after 8 o'clock local time here on February the 1st. It is the start of a brand new day, and not only that, but the start of a brand new month, guys. So I wanted to hop on here and just do a quick check-in, see how your mental state is this morning. As for me, in the immortal words of Ice Cube, when I think about yesterday, I gotta say it was a good day. I was able. It's cold out today. I think we're gonna have to go inside and do this from in there. But I did post a couple of small videos yesterday. At least if the YouTube was cooperating and uploading, those videos should be up of me talking about some of my little mini adventures yesterday. And yesterday was really about doing something for me. It was about kind of filling my cup a little bit. And I realized that's something that we haven't really talked a ton about. The concept of filling your cup. Okay, we all try to pour out of our cups to help other people and to be of assistance and to be of service. So much so that sometimes we neglect our own needs and our own wants. We neglect the things that are going to help us be more effective and more efficient in providing that assistance to other people. But you can't pour from an empty cup, guys. When you deplete your resources so greatly that you have nothing left to give to others, that can be a very disheartening position to be in for somebody like me, who considers himself to be not necessarily a fixer, but a helper. Somebody who, if I see someone else struggling, I want to do something to assist if I can. I want to try and be of service. And as such, it can be a difficult position to be in. So I want you to remember that it is perfectly fine and actually a great thing to prioritize your mental health, your emotional well-being, to say, as much as I want to help right now, I'm not in a position to do so. And don't look at that as a sign of weakness, but rather as a sign of self-awareness and strength. Just like it takes a strong person to ask for help, it takes a strong person to say, as much as I want to help, I'm not in a position to do so right now, because maybe I'm struggling myself, or I don't have the means, or I don't have the emotional energy, or whatever your circumstances and reasoning behind it is. It's not my place or anyone else's to judge or validate or invalidate why you're setting a boundary, okay? It's important that we remember these types of intrinsic lessons, and that's why I like putting them, with a simple spin, like you can't pour from an empty cup, or a closed mouth doesn't get fed. These little cliches and aphorisms that we've heard, they've endured for a reason, okay? And it's because there is some measure of truth or insight to them, which is why they spread and why they've endured. And that's one that I've always kind of believed in, is that you can't pour from an empty cup. To me, again, what that really means is that as much as we want to be of service to each other, I equate it to the drowning man. Sometimes as much as we want to help someone get to shore, if they are flailing and panicking and pulling against us, there's a really good chance they will drown us before we ever get them to shore. And sometimes you need to recognize that and say, I have to preserve my life in order to be of service to others. So when I say you can't pour from an empty cup, that's kind of what I'm getting at. If you don't prioritize making sure that you're okay first, you can't really be there for other people without putting yourself at risk of detriment. It's important that we all kind of recognize that about ourselves, at least for me, because I am a helper, I am a fixer, and sometimes my drive to do those things can override the rational thought of, maybe we're giving too much, or we're overextending ourselves, or we, by offering assistance, we're going to put ourselves into a bad spot, either financially or emotionally or psychologically. And we have to protect those things, because no one else is going to be looking out for our mental health but us. No one else is going to be looking out to make sure that we are not unintentionally crossing boundaries other than us. When we've grown up, it's no longer our parents' job, it's no longer our caretaker's job or our babysitter's job to protect us from those inherent dangers. And I'm not just talking about dangers like don't stick the fork in the light socket. I'm talking about dangers like, don't give your heart freely to people who you are not assured have your best interest at heart. Don't be afraid to back off if you feel like the balance and equilibrium of your relationship is constantly out of whack or off kilter. We live in a world where, yes, ideally, any kind of relationship, friendship, partnership, whatever, should be at a 50-50, right? It should. We should both be equal contributors. But the truth is, we're all human, and we all have those rough days. And maybe today, I can't meet you at 50-50, and all I got to give is 25 or 20%. And it's just a rough day for me. And as my partner or my friend or my lover or whatever, I want to know and rely that if all I have to give is 20% today, that you are going to be the person that steps up and says, you know what, I got you, I've been there before, I'm going to throw in the 80% to make sure we're at 100 today, because I know that tomorrow, maybe all I'll have to give is 30%, and I'm going to expect you to step up from your 50, that extra 20%, and give me the 70, so we can still be a whole for the day. So 50-50 is ideal, yes, but there's a give and take. Those balances and those levels are going to fluctuate, and understanding that the real goal isn't necessarily to feel like you met me in the middle on every single item on our action item list, or every conversation that we had, we found a reasonable compromise that placed us right in the center of our viewpoints. Thinking about it that way is, I believe, really naive and unrealistic, at least to me. So I would much rather say I want a partner who's going to know when to step up to the plate, and I want a partner who's going to know when to step back if I've got more to give or more to share. And that recognition, that awareness, that ability to really be a true collaborative partner with someone else in your life that's outside of you is a skill and a muscle I don't think by and large people flex a lot or in the right way. I think that things like this have a tendency to really foster resentments in relationships. And again, I'm not even just talking about romantic ones. I mean any kind of relationship, whether it's a business partner, whether it was a best friend, whatever. Anytime that you are forging an honest and genuine connection with another person, and it's not strictly motivated by financial gains, I believe that there is this inherent idea of give and take. And that you're not going to be at your best every single day. Some days you're going to have a little more to share than others. Some days you're just going to not feel as equipped to take on the world as others. And your real friends are going to be there for you regardless. I've always said it's easy for anybody to be a friend when things are going well in your life. The real friends are the ones that show up when things go wrong, okay? Or if you prefer, any friend will help you move, but a real friend will help you move the body, I've always liked that phrase, not that I've ever intended to have to move a body, but I'd like to know that my friends would be there for me if I ever did. Coffee is so good first thing in the morning. And before you get on my back, please know that I am still trying to make progress. So instead of the refined white sugar in my coffee, I'm using raw cane sugar now. Again, not ideal. Obviously, I should probably not drink coffee with sugar. Tell that to my taste buds, okay? But at least I'm trying. I'm trying to make small, manageable, healthy choices. I'm gonna enjoy my 1 cup of coffee this morning, and then we're switching over to water after I drink my aloe vera concentrate, which I have added into my daily routine now because it is supposed to be really, really good for your digestive health. Last night I had a good time. I went out, I sang some karaoke. I was able to catch up with a few friends who I hadn't seen for a while and kind of tell them about what I've been up to. A couple of them came up and said, hey, you know, I saw some of the things you've been posting online. Are you okay? Because maybe they just saw the part where I was still in the hospital and they didn't know about everything that I've been up to since I've been out. So it felt so good, like in my heart and in my mind yesterday when people were like, oh my goodness, I saw the post of you in the hospital. Like, are you okay? And I was able to smile so big that my gap showed, and I was able to say, you know what, I am so good right now. Yes, I walked through this difficult thing over the past couple of weeks, but coming out of it on the other side and like having this fundamental shift in perspective has already altered the course and trajectory of my life so greatly, and I'm so thankful for it. It sounds crazy to say that I'm thankful for, you know, this health ordeal that I went through, or that I'm thankful that, you know, there were times when I was at risk of dying, and that risk was very close to me. But I'm grateful for everything that happened, and even though I struggled in the moment, now in hindsight and with things being in the rear view, I'm still very happy for even those moments that I feared for my life in the hospital, even those moments where my rib cage was clenching as I was trying to throw up contents of my stomach which didn't exist, and wondering if each time those muscles contracted, if that was the thing that was going to cause the rupture, and if that was the thing that was going to cause me to go septic and die. Even now, I'm grateful for all of that. Those 3 hours that I spent in physical pain and fear while I waited for doctors to respond and provide medication to me, that was over-the-counter medication. Rationally, there's no reason why I should have ever had to wait that long for an over-the-counter med, especially when it's something that I could have walked out of the hospital and taken an Uber or a Lyft to the nearest pharmacy and bought over the counter and came back to lay back in my hospital room. There's no reason why I should have been able to accomplish that entire process in the amount of time that it took a team, not a team of doctors to respond to a message sent by a nurse asking for permission to administer this medication. We weren't talking about morphine or narcotics or heavy painkillers. Again, we're talking about an over-the-counter anti-nausea medication. Think Dramamine, okay? It wasn't that specific name brand, but that's the function. There's no reason why anyone in a hospital where they are surrounded by doctors and medical professionals should ever have to wait for 3 hours to get over-the-counter meds. And I could choose to focus on the negative aspects of that, or I could choose to lean into the idea that it happened to me, and I want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else. So I've been told that, you know, it's not the doctor's problems because they're stretched thin and there's a national doctor shortage. Spoiler alert, guys. I work in special education. I don't make a lot of money. I'm a public school employee. The job that I do can be incredibly rewarding spiritually and emotionally and psychologically. Financially, not so much. And nobody really gets into public school education to get rich. You know, contrary to popular belief, we don't sign up for these jobs because we're like, yeah, we're gonna make lots of money and also we get summers off. No. Trust and believe, for any good educator worth their salt, those couple of weeks that they get off during the summer are usually filled with either finishing up continuing education credits, or doing professional development training, or preparing lessons for the upcoming school year, or plotting out, for those of us who are involved in things like drama clubs and debate teams and extracurricular activities, planning out agendas and what we want to cover with our students during those times. Yeah, you might catch us, spending an afternoon at the beach every once in a while, but the truth is, even then, our wheels are usually turning about how we're going to do right by our students. What can we improve from last year? What can we tweak or alter to be more impactful? And the doctors, they don't go home and grade homework. They're not at home, correcting grammar on book reports until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So when a doctor tells me that it's not their problem because there's a doctor shortage, I have very little sympathy for that. You guys make on average, starting out, about $250,000 a year. I can tell you that I make approximately a fifth of that, if that, starting out. So when you tell me that there's a critical doctor shortage, that sounds like a you problem. With all due respect, and I don't mean to sound like I'm lacking compassion, but as the patient, it's not my fault that the hospital administrator didn't hire enough of you. And as such, like, that accountability and that responsibility for you guys not being as responsive as you could, it doesn't fall on my doorstep. It falls on your side of the fence. And I've always been really hesitant to kind of dig into this thing because, again, I've tried to really focus on the positive side of things. And yeah, I spent a week in the hospital before my surgery in constant fear that this thing in my stomach was going to rupture at any given moment, and I was going to go septic, and I was going to die. I recently found out that one of my family members went through something very, very similar. And he was 46 years old, what had happened to him, just like I am. And he had fears about the impact of the potential of having to live life with a colostomy bag, just like I did. And the critical difference between our stories is that I walked out of the hospital on January 11th, and my family member did not have that same outcome. And I was just a child when it happened. So I knew that, I had a family member that was sick and in the hospital, and then I knew that they passed away. But I didn't know all the details. I think that a lot of that stuff was spared to me and my siblings because, again, we were kids and we didn't need all the gory details about what was going on with, this family member's intestines and digestive system. I think that my mother, by and large, tried to shelter us from some of that stuff by glossing over the more intense parts of the story, if you will. Just like, when we're reading bedtime stories to our kids, if there's a scary thing, maybe we try to minimize it instead of just reading it out loud. Guys, I know I'm running off at the mouth. There were so many things that I want to tell you, and maybe I'll do another video later because we're almost at 20 minutes. But remember that it is okay to fill your cup first, okay? Let's just get back to that. It is perfectly fine to fill your cup, and make sure that you are squared away before you turn to help others. Advocate for yourself. Practice some self-care. Practice some self-love. When you look in the mirror, talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you really cared about, because it all starts with you. So if you've had a rough morning so far, remember you can make it better at any given moment. That power lies right here. That control lies right there. That's why I've been saying, don't choose to make it a good day. Choose to make it a great one. I'm going to finish my coffee, and then I'm going to start my day here. And I hope that whatever you're going through, whatever path you have to walk today, that your steps are smooth and light. And not only that, but they remain visible to the people who are following in your path behind you. Because I truly believe that every single one of us, when we go through something difficult, it's just like walking through a trail in the forest. Our actions of traveling that road are going to make that road a little smoother and maybe a little wider and have a little less dangers for the people that are walking behind us. So remember, you're brave and you're a trailblazer. You are a rock star, so conduct yourself as such as you go through your daily life. All right? Remember, don't make today a good day. Choose to make it a great one. Much love, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.